Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be covering is going over the American League games of yesterday, then moving on to the National League. Then in the third segment, we'll be talking about the resurgence of Mets starting pitcher Luis Severino, and in the fourth segment, talking about some general news stories around the league, just some transaction and injury-related stuff. Now, before we do that, though, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show today. All right, as I talked about, we are going to be doing the American League games and the National League games first, just recapping the action in baseball from yesterday. That is usually what we do. So, let's get straight into it for today. So we're going to be starting with the American League first, and the first game we have on the agenda is going to be a battle of two elite teams in the American League, two AL East teams, the Orioles and the Yankees. So in the bottom of the first, the scoring would open up with a Gunnar Henderson solo home run, his 10th of the year already, having an incredible season. I mean, his rookie season was great as well, but he has taken it to a whole new height this season. I mean, he could be an MVP frontrunner right now. So great job for him opening up the scoring early. Scoring would not happen after that until the bottom of the eighth, when Anthony Santander would reach on a fielding error by Anthony Volpe, scoring Gunnar Henderson to make it 2-0 Baltimore in the bottom of the eighth. So good job by Baltimore to take advantage of that fielding error by Volpe. And the Yankees would not score the entire game. They would get more hits than the Orioles. They would get 7, the Orioles would get 4, but the Orioles would score 2 runs, the Yankees would score none, and that would be all that would matter, as the Yankees would end up losing this game to their division rival 2-0. The Yankees had on the mound Clark Schmidt, who was pretty solid, 5 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, an earned run, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Really solid start for him. I think 5 2/3 is more than fine against an offense of the Orioles' caliber. And I think only giving up 1 earned run is also pretty great. I think Clark Schmidt is more of a depth guy for the Yankees, not really a full-time starter. But I think that's a pretty great start against the Orioles, as good as you can do against this elite offense. The Orioles had on the mound Grayson Rodriguez, who was absolutely phenomenal. He went 5 2/3 innings, giving up 5 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts, having a 3.71 ERA on the year now. Just a great start for him. He was a top prospect in Baltimore's organization for a really long time. People were wondering if he would ever hit his ceiling, and he finally has. I think he's been a really great pitcher for them this year, and has really helped with the pitching injuries they've had to the rotation, including most notably Kyle Bradish, who we talked about yesterday, should be back soon, so that should be a big help to the Orioles rotation and team. Next game we have here that we're going to talk about is going to be Royals and Blue Jays, a continuation of this series. Scoring would open up in the top of the first, as Nelson Velasquez would hit an RBI double to score Bobby Witt Jr. to make it 1-0 Kansas City. Top of the first, same inning, Michael Massey would single on a ground ball to shortstop Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, which would score Nelson Velasquez to make it 2-0 Kansas City early. Bottom of the first, Justin Turner would answer right back for the Blue Jays, though, hitting a 2-run home run, his 3rd of the year, to make it 2-2. And in the bottom of the third, he would hit his 2nd home run in 3 innings, his 4th of the year, to make it 3-2 Toronto. So a great job by Justin Turner to put this offense on his back a little bit at the start and give them the lead. After that, Danny Jansen in the same inning would hit a solo home run as well, his 2nd of the year, to make it 4-2 Toronto. Top of the third, the Royals would attempt to come back with a Kyle Isbell RBI single to make it 4-3 in the top of the fourth. But in the bottom of the fifth, Davis Schneider would hit an RBI single to score Dalton Varsho to make it 5-3. Top of the sixth now, Kyle Isbell again would come in clutch for the Royals, hitting a solo home run to make it 5-4, getting the Royals within a run. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would hit his 5th double of the year to score Addison Barger to make it 6-4 and give them some more insurance runs. Top of the 8th, again, the Royals would not go down without a fight with a Freddie Fermin solo home run, his 1st of the year. He was a top prospect, but hadn't had the best year so far. So nice for him to just kind of get off the schneid a little bit and hit his 1st home run. So good job by him. It would make it 5-4 Toronto. 6-5 Toronto. Unfortunately, the Royals would not score after that, and they'd end up losing this game 6-5. So they put up a good fight at the end, had a really good offensive game, but the Blue Jays just would outscore them. Blue Jays had on the mound Yariel Rodriguez. He went 3 2/3 innings pitched, giving up 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, and a strikeout, 4.11 ERA in the season. He's still getting used to the major leagues. He's still trying to define what his role is going to be. So I'm not going to take anything that Yariel does currently too much to heart. I think we have to wait and see what happens with him. He has a really, really interesting situation right now in baseball, just his story and how he got signed and his contract and all that stuff. So I'll be watching him more closely as season goes on, and I'm not going to take this start. I'm not going to take it into fully account really. The Royals had on the mound. They had on the mound Jonathan Bolin, a opener, 2 2/3 innings pitch for him, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Not good. Nothing else to say there. It was not good. Justin Turner really killed him. So yeah, not a good start there. So good win for the Blue Jays. Kind of been struggling this year, and nice job to beat an opponent who has been really, really good this year in the Kansas City Royals. Next game we have is going to be Twins and White Sox. These two division rivals would keep playing, so that would be a good sign here. Sorry, my Wi-Fi has gone out a little bit, so I'm trying to get my notes up, but they're not. It's not coming up, so that's kind of unfortunate. Let me try a different way. I apologize about this, but continue it. Just going off, just giving a little recap of the White Sox and Twins series so far. The Twins have beaten them a lot, and they've they have taken advantage of playing a bad team with having a bad season so far. So that's been nice. Here we go. The Wi-Fi is back. So in the bottom of the first, Andrew Vaughn would an RBI double to score Nicky Lopez to make it 1-0 Chicago. Then Eloy Jimenez would ground into a double play in the bottom of the first, but he would end up scoring Andrew Vaughn to make it 2-0. So unfortunate situation there, but still would end up getting a run, which was good. Top of the second, Carlos Santana would answer right back for the Twins, though, with a 2-run home run, scoring Manuel Margot to make it 2-2. And in the top of the ninth, Max Kepler would hit an RBI single to make it 3-2 Minnesota, coming in clutch at the end of the game and would end up winning it for the Twins. Again, just a really great job by the Twins to come back, and things look like they were getting rough for the season, but they're not 15-13. They're getting hot. Their bats are finally performing. They just got Carlos Correa back from the IL, so lots going their way right now, and if I'm a Twins fan, I'd be really happy. The Twins had on the mound Joe Ryan. He went 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and a 3.38 ERA on the season. Just a really great start there. The White Sox had on the mound Garrett Crochet, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. Hasn't had the best season so far, but that was a really solid start there against a really good opponent, so I'm not complaining there if I'm a White Sox fan. Next game we have is a quick one, Rays and Brewers. Top of the first, the Rays would score with an Isaac Paredes grounding into a double play, which would end up scoring Yandy Diaz to make it 1-0 Tampa, and that would be the entire scoring of the game. 1-0 Tampa Bay. They would get 6 hits the entire game, 3 hits from Milwaukee, and that is how they would end up winning. So, quick one there, but nice job by the Rays, I guess. As they've had a rough week getting swept by the White Sox, but beating a good team in the Brewers, I think that's something that you can feel really proud of. The Rays had on the mound Ryan Pepio, who went 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. I've said multiple times how high I am on this kid. I thought it was a great job by the Rays to get him back in the Glasnow trade, and he has not proven me wrong. He's been a really, really great pitcher for them, and with all the injuries they've had, he's come in really, really clutch and done his thing. The Brewers had on the mound Bryce Wilson. He went 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts, 3 ERA in the season. Really solid start there. With the pitching injuries the Brewers have had, I think Bryce Wilson has been a good arm to rely on and just been really, really solid. So props to him and a good job there. Next game we have is going to be Angels and Phillies, 2 red teams, their main colors. That's something, I guess. Scoring would open up in the top of the first with an Alec Boehm RBI single to make it 2-0 Philly, and a Brandon Marsh sacrifice fly would make it 3-0. Good job by Marsh to score a run against his former team. I'm sure that felt good, a team that traded him away. Bottom of the first, Joe Adell with his 4th home run of the year to make it 3-1. Adell has been really, really great this year so far. I mean, obviously we know he was a former top prospect in baseball, was a guy that was mentioned all the way back as being a centerpiece of the Mookie Betts trades when he was getting traded from Boston. That's how good he has been. So it's nice that he's finally breaking out. We'll see if this is legit, but if it is, oh boy, do the Angels have another great piece of that lineup. Bottom of the second, Ari Adrianza would hit an RBI single to score Luis Rengifo to make it 3-2. But unfortunately, in the top of the 5th for the Angels, Kyle Schwarber would score on a disengagement violation. and it would make it 4-2. So an unfortunate situation there for the Angels. That is how the Phillies would get that run. Bottom of the sixth, though, Logan O'Hoppe would an RBI groundout to make it 4-3. Nice job for him getting an RBI against his former organization. Obviously, Marsh and O'Hoppe were traded for each other, so it was nice seeing both of those guys doing pretty well. I'd honestly say that was one of the most win-win trades in baseball recently. Marsh has been a very solid player for Philly, and O'Hoppe looks to be the catcher of the future for the Angels. So, great trade for both sides, honestly, and I think you're seeing it with this game. Cole Tucker, his first game with the Angels, with an RBI single to make it 4-4. Just got there, tied up the game in the bottom of the sixth. Really great job by him. Bottom of the seventh, a wild pitch by Sir Anthony Dominguez would score Ariel Adrianza and Mike Trout to make it 6-4 Los Angeles. Kind of an unfortunate break there for the Phillies, a wild pitch and then a throwing error by the catcher Garrett Stubbs. So an unfortunate break there, but good job for the Angels to take advantage. Top of the ninth, with one out, Alec Bohm would hit a sacrifice fly to make it 6-5, but it would be too little too late as the Angels would end up winning 6-5. Great job by them to beat a good Phillies team and continue this little surprising season they've had. They are 11-18, but I think there has been a lot of flashes about them, and especially Mike Trout. So hopefully they can get that record better, and Mike Trout can finally be on a winning team, but it feels like it's unlikely. The Angels had on the mound Griffin Canning. He went 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 runs, 5 walks, and a strikeout. Not the start you want to see there. Just has not had a great season so far, and that start is not make it any better. The Phillies had on the mound Christopher Sanchez. He went 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Just an okay start there, nothing really too crazy. So, that's kind of it. Next game we have here is going to be A's and Pirates. Scoring would open up here in the top of the first with a wild pitch by Joe Boyle to score Brian Hayes to make it 1-0 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the first, though, Tyler Nevin would answer back for the A's, hitting his third home run as an A to make it 1-1, and after that it will be all Oakland. Bottom of the fourth, Shea Langoliers would hit a sacrifice fly to make it 2-1. Then a Max Schumann also would hit a sacrifice fly to make it 3-1. And Esther Ruiz RBI double would make it 4-1, and a Tyler Nevin sacrifice fly would make it 5-1 Oakland, as they would end up winning their 4th game in 5. 13-17 now. Is that a good record? No, but we all expected them to be one of the worst teams in baseball history, and they've been pretty decent so far. So I'd say that's something that is pretty surprising and something to watch. Do I think the A's are going to make the playoffs? No. Do I think they're going to do good at all? No. But you look at where we had them projected to start the year, this is pretty great. The Pirates had on the mound Bailey Falter, who went 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Not a good start there, especially against the A's offense. Not what you want to see. The A's had on the mound Joe Boyle, who went 5 innings pitched, a hit, an earned run, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Hasn't had the best season so far, but I still think he is a really good player, and I think that he's going to be a big part of the A's team if they do end up doing something this year, and they end up kind of outperforming expectations, I'd say. So we'll have to see about that, but I think that would be something interesting to watch and something to see as the season does go on. All right, so that was the end of our first segment here, talking about the American League games of yesterday and just recapping the action that came with that. We'll be moving into our second segment now, which is going to be talking about the National League games of yesterday as well, just recapping that action. So yeah, we'll talk about that, but we'll see you after the break and talk to you then. Thanks and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment, which is going to be talking about the National League games of yesterday and just all the action that came with it. But before we do that, I would like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show today and back into our second segment. So, as we talked about, we are going to be recapping the National League games of yesterday and just all the action that came with it. We just did the American League, so it's only fitting to do the National League and just talk about everything that happened. So yeah. So the first game we are going to talk about is going to be Nationals and Marlins. The scoring would open up in the top of the third with a C.J. Abrams 2-run home run to score Alex Call to make it 2-0. And then in the top of the fifth, Jesse Winker would walk with the bases loaded to make it 3-0. Bottom of the sixth, Jazz Chisholm would get some runs back for Miami, hitting a 2-run home run, scoring Vidal Brujan to make it 3-2. Top of the seventh, Jesse Winker would ground into a force out to make it 4-2, and a wild pitch by Andrew Nardi would make it 5-2 Washington. A Joey Meneses ground rule double would make it 6-2, and an Ildemaro Vargas RBI single would make it 7-2 Washington, and they would end up winning this game. Now, on the surface, this doesn't look like anything too spectacular. I mean, it's one bad team beating another bad team, but there's a lot going right for the Nationals right now. I mean, we talked about the game that happened on Sunday where the Nationals came back from that 6-0 lead the Marlins had in the first inning and they end up winning that game. I think when you look at the Nationals right now, you know, they've been bad for a number of years. I'd say it started in 2020. They won the World Series in 2019. They were bad in 2020. They underperformed in 2021, and they blew it all up. They blew everything up, including trading their franchise superstar, one of the best players in baseball, who happened to be really young, Juan Soto. Then in 2022 they were bad. In 2023 they were bad. But 2024, you know, you're kind of seeing the fruits of your labor now come up. You're seeing the young players you acquired in trades, that you drafted, that you signed out of international pools, finally come up. You're seeing C.J. Abrams become a great player. Josiah Gray, Mackenzie Gore. You have some other great prospects like Robert Hassel, James Wood, Dylan Cruz. So there's a lot going right for the Nationals right now. I'm a big fan of what they're building there. I think their young core is pretty extraordinary, and I think there's a lot of great pieces to be happy about. So if I'm a Nationals fan for the first time in a little while, I feel confident in my organization and the direction they're going, and I'm excited to see what happens. The Nationals had on the mound Jake Irvin. He went 6 innings pitched, giving up 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Really solid start there. Can't ask for much else. Marlins had on the mound Trevor Rogers, who went 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a homer. Just okay. Nothing too crazy to say. I mean, it's just okay, especially against the Nationals. You kind of want more out of that, I'm thinking. Next game we have is going to be Dodgers and Diamondbacks, an NL West matchup. Bottom of the first, Christian Walker would hit a sacrifice fly to score Blaze Alexander to make it 1-0 Arizona. Top of the second, Enrique Hernandez would hit an RBI double to make it 1-1, and an Andy Pages sacrifice fly would make it 2-1. A Teoscar Hernandez ground rule double would score Shohei Ohtani to make it 4-1 Los Angeles, and a Pages double, his 5th of the year already, has been great since coming up. I mean, an 846 OPS and 47 at-bats in your first career MLB season. I think the Dodgers looking at a future cornerstone in the outfield there. He would make it 6-1. Bottom of the 5th, the Diamondbacks would come back a little bit with a Eugenio Suarez RBI single, a wild pitch by James Paxton, and a Randall Grichuk sacrifice fly to make it 6-4. So the Diamondbacks would get on the board a little more there. But unfortunately, in the top of the 6th, Will Smith would hit a solo home run, his third of the year, to make it 7-4 LA, and then a Shohei Ohtani RBI single would make it 8-4 LA in the top of the 8th. They would end up winning this game 8-4. Diamondbacks have been very disappointing this year, 13-7, not what anyone expected. I thought they would be a playoff team pretty easily, and they just have not been good so far. So I'm watching them. I still believe in them. I still think they are going to end up being a playoff team, and I still think they are the 3rd best team in baseball, just roster-wise. But they've gone unlucky with some injuries. Some of their players have just not been performing that well, including Corbin Carroll. So I'm interested to see how they do combat that going into the rest of the season and what does happen. The Dodgers had on the mound James Paxton, of course. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts. Not a great start there. 4 walks, 4 earned runs. 5 walks, 4 earned runs, only 5 innings, 6 hits. I'd say you want something more from a veteran starting pitcher like Paxton, who is really good. So I'd say that's a little bit of disappointment there. Diamondbacks had on the mound Tommy Henry. He went 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, no strikeouts. Solid start there. He didn't go deep into the game, but it's the Dodgers offense, and he was more of an opener, it's looking like. So you had Logan Allen come in at the back end of the game, being the bulk guy with 3 and 3rd innings pitched, giving up 2 earned runs. That was also solid. So it was kind of just nobody was that outstanding for the Diamondbacks. It was just everyone was okay. You look at, really, except for one reliever out of the pen, Andrew Saalfrank, who gave up 4 earned runs in a third of an inning. So, yeah, 3 walks as well. Not what you want to see. So that guy really was not good for the Diamondbacks, and I would say probably cost them the game with his pitching performance. So not great there. Next game we have is going to be Reds and Padres. Scoring would open up for this game in the top of the first with an Ellie De La Cruz solo home run, his 8th of the year. He's having an extraordinary year this year. Just really incredible. 18 stolen bases already, 8 home runs. He could be a 30-70 player, honestly. Just really incredible. Bottom of the first, Jerickson Profar would tie up the game with his 4th home run of the year to make it 1-1. Profar has just been incredible since coming back to San Diego. He was a nothing signing just to provide depth for a Padres team that had 0 outfield depth, and he's honestly been one of their better hitters with everyone struggling. So, he's been really, really great, and has been doing a really, really great job there. Top of the second, Santiago Espinal would hit a sacrifice fly for Cincinnati to make it 2-1, and with Luke Maile batting, Heimerich and Ilario would score on a balk to make it 3-1 Cincinnati. A Spencer Steer double would make it 4-1, and a Santiago Espinal RBI single again would make it 5-1. Manny Machado on the bottom of the ninth would get a run back for the Padres, hitting a RBI single to make it 5-2, but the Padres still end up losing this game 5-2 to the Reds. The Reds had on the mound Nick Lodolo, who was phenomenal. 7 innings pitched, a hit, an earned run, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts. 1.88 ERA on the season. Really just an amazing, great start for him. Not much else you can ask for, especially against the Padres offense that on paper is very good. 11 strikeouts over 7, only 1 earned run. Just came on a solo home run. So, yeah, just a great start by Lodolo. Really, really solid. Padres had Matt Waldron, the knuckleballer, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Just another one of these Padres pitchers that are underperforming, not pitching to their full potential. So if you're a Padres fan, you need this to end quick, and you need this to keep going, and you need your players to keep performing. Next game we have is Mariners and Braves, and in the top of the 7th, Ozzie Albies would hit an RBI double to make it 1-0 Atlanta. But then in the bottom of the 9th, Mitch Garver would hit a 2-run home run to score Jorge Polanco and end up winning this game on a walk-off homer for the Mariners. Now this game was interesting as Max Fried, who went 6 innings and gave up no hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, started the game off, and the Braves ended up having a no-hitter through 8. Unfortunately, they would give it up in the 8th, of course, and then would still lose this game on a walk-off. So not exactly what you want, kind of a shocking turnaround for the Braves. Having a no-hitter through the 8th and then losing on a walk-off home run to the Mariners. The Braves had 1 run and 3 hits. The Mariners had 2 runs and 4 hits. So not exactly what you want to see there. Not a great job by the Braves to hold this game and hold the no-hitter they had going. So not exactly what you want to see, and just an unfortunate situation there for the Braves. The Mariners had on the mound Bryce Miller, who was phenomenal. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, an earned run, a walk, 10 strikeouts, no home runs, 2.04 ERA in the season. I think he could be one of baseball's best pitchers sooner rather than later. Did really, really well yesterday and had a great, great start. Now, if you thought one team having a no-hitter through the 8th inning and then losing the game still was weird, well, we had 2. In the bottom, it would have Mets and Cubs. Opening up this game would be a Brandon Nimmo solo shot, a leadoff home run to make it 1-0 New York. And then in the top of the 8th, scoring would go all the way there. Dick Magical would ground into a force out to score Michael Busch. Joey Wendell had a clear angle to throw it home. Would have nagged the runner at home, who was clearly running, and instead threw it to second base and cost the Mets a run and potentially the game. Wendell, who is mainly known for his glove and defense, has just been really bad for the Mets. Has not been a good signing. One of the few bad signings David Stearns has had. Has really not been good and has cost the Mets a few games now with his defense. So I was surprised to not see him DFA today after Starling Marte returned from the bereavement list. But yeah, he's not been good, and did that make me mad yesterday as a Mets fan. Top ninth, Christopher Morel with the big bloat for the Cubs, a 2-run home run to score Mike Tauchman, his fourth of the year, 3-1, off of Edwin Diaz in the top of the ninth. Great job by the youngster. He has been really, really great this season. You look at his stats. He hasn't. Actually, I apologize. I was thinking of someone else. He has not been that great this season, but he's shown a lot of flashes, and I think it's there as well. He was mentioned a lot in the Pete Alonso to Chicago trade rumors that were happening this offseason, and a lot of Mets fans said, we don't want him. He's not equal to Alonso, and I think maybe it was a little bit of a revenge home run for Morel to get that against the Mets. The Cubs had on the mound Jameson Taillon, who went 7 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and a strikeout, 1.50 ERA in the season. Really solid start there by him. For the Mets, they had on the mound Luis Severino, who went 8 innings, gave up 1 hit, an earned run, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Severino, like the Braves, had a no-hitter through 8, and it wasn't even a combined one. It was himself. Just him. He was absolutely dealing. Has been really great since coming to the Mets, and leaving the Yankees. Had a really awful season last year, but has been doing a great job this year with the team across the city. So, I would explain it more about Severino and what's going on with him, but that is actually our next segment. So, a nice little way to transition into our third segment, which is about Luis Severino and his resurgence for the Mets. Yes, it is unfortunate the Mets lost that game after Severino was dealing, but he's been really great this year for the Mets and has done a really good job. So, we'll be talking about just him and what's going on with him after the break. So, thanks and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about Luis Severino and his resurgence of sorts with the New York Mets. Now, as we all know, Severino in the later 2010s with the Yankees was a great pitcher with them. Was a guy who kind of came out of nowhere with the Yankees organization, became a really great starter, and just kept dealing for many years. Was one of their better starters in that rotation. Was one of the most electric players in baseball. We all know his signature yell whenever he got a big out or struck someone out on the side. I remember some iconic moments with the Yankees. Sifley won with the playing the Twins in the playoffs, like the Yankees have done so many different times, where he had loaded the bases, no outs. The manager had left him in, and he then struck out all 3 of the batters to get out of the inning for the Yankees. Let out a huge scream, just showed his emotion, and the Yankees would end up winning that game. So, watching Severino growing up, I'm a Mets fan, but I am from New York. I grew up in New York, so I do watch a lot of Yankees games. They are on my cable, so I do watch a lot of them, and I watched Severino a lot growing up, and he was always one of my favorite players, even though he wasn't the Yankees. People who are young and getting into baseball like myself, we are always looking at players who showed a lot of emotion. Players who had fun playing the game, weren't just stone-faced and had some personality. And that was Severino. Severino was one of the best pitchers in baseball for a little bit of time. Showed emotion, had fun playing the game, seemed like a great guy. And I think that's what baseball needs more of, and he was that then. But, he had some rough spots. He ended up getting Tommy John. He did not really recover from that. I believe missed 2 full seasons out of his career with injury. And when he came back with the Yankees for 2 years, was never really the same. I mean, was just not the guy who had the blistering fastball and great off speed. You look at his career in 2019, he had 3 games started. 2020 missed the entire season with injury, and then 2021 had 4 games started. So that's 7 starting. He had 7 starts in the matter of 3 years. That's how long it took him to get back from injury and fully rehab. But 2022 he came back, had 19 starts, had a 3.18 ERA. Was great. And then in 2023, everything just kind of exploded. He had a 6.65 ERA, made 18 starts as well, so it wasn't even like he had 4 bad starts and then got injured or something. No, he was making consistent starts with the Yankees. And the thing that was crazy about last year was that it wasn't even like the advanced stats were saying, he's getting super unlucky. He's getting, crazy unlucky, and he's just getting kind of bad-bipped, as you would say. No, he had a 5.89 expected ERA, so his ERA is expected to be that. So you factor in luck, it was still not good. His hard hit percentage was 44.5, so almost half the time he was giving up hard hits, which in baseball you don't want to give up hard hits. His FIP was 6.14. His ERA minus was 159. So he was not good. And again, the thing about him was he was not getting unlucky. He was none of that. No, he was just bad. And a lot of fans were wondering what happened. Like, this guy was one of the best pitchers in baseball for a little while with the Yankees, was a great player, and suddenly now is just regressing and is becoming one of the worst players in baseball. I mean, last year he was the worst pitcher in baseball for a player that made a significant amount of starts, which he did. So going into this offseason, it was very strange with Severino. We all knew he was not returning to the Yankees. That had run its course with all the ups and downs he had with the season he had last year. It was just time to move on for both the Yankees and Severino, so we were interested in where he could go. A lot of people pointed at teams like the Rays and the Dodgers. These teams, both the Rays and the Dodgers are known for being probably the 2 best organizations in baseball, who take players who have been bad but were good in the past, got them back to their old form, and had made them really good. I mean, the Rays have done that countless times. The Dodgers have done that countless times as well. So, you saw a lot of teams were pointing at the Dodgers and the Rays as teams that, Severino could potentially go to. But instead, he went to an interesting team. He went to the Mets. And a lot of people were kind of perplexed at that. First of all, a big Yankee signing with as a free agent with the Mets, that's kind of unheard of. It's not something you really ever see. Biggest example I can ever think of with that is probably Curtis Granderson. So it was a really interesting situation that he would go to the Mets, and also the Mets weren't exactly a team that was known for its analytical, amazement. Weren't really a team that was known for fixing guys and all that kind of stuff. But Severino trusted the Mets. He trusted new president of baseball operations, David Stearns, and now look at him. You look at Severino's stats right now, and he's been doing great. First of all, just standard, he has a 2.31 ERA in the season, 6 games started. Last year he had 66 earned runs. This year he doesn't even have 10. He has 9. His left on base percentage has gone up 4%. His ERA minus has gone down by 100. His FIP is 3.24, which is almost 2 runs lower than last year. His hard hit percentage is 8% lower than last year, which is significant. His barrel percentage went from 10 to 3, so that's how many times a player is barreling up your pitches, which is the sweet spot of the bat, basically, which is if you give a barrel, it's probably going a long way. So only 3%, 7% decrease. So a lot has been going right for Severino. And a lot of people are wondering why. Well, how did this guy go from so bad in a great organization to a really, really great pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the National League this year, to an organization that isn't really known as much for kind of developing players and getting them in this kind of situation? The thing I don't think a lot of people know about Severino was just some of the other stuff he had, not entirely pitching related. First of all, he said in his Mets press conference when he signed there, the one he had like a month after he signed, just like making it official and talking to media for the first time, he said a lot of information. And one of the first big things that I noticed was sleep. He said throughout his whole life he was never a good sleeper. It's just something that did not happen for him. And he said going into this offseason, he got a sleep doctor. He fixed himself with that, and he sleeps great now. Now that might be something that you're laughing at. Like, why does that really affect you that much, sleep? I would say 100% it would. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are overlooking. If you're a professional athlete who does not get good sleep, you're not recharging yourself, you feel tired, and then you have to go through all these workouts that you do every day. They probably wake up at 8 a.m. every day doing insane workouts that, a theoretical person cannot comprehend. And throwing a baseball 96 miles per hour consistently in a weird motion that's like violent is not exactly not something your body was made for. So if you're not getting good sleep, if you're not recharging yourself, I think that affects you a lot. And I think that was something big that you saw with Severino, where, okay, this guy's taking this seriously. He knows what he has to fix. He knows what he has to fix. He wants to be an elite pitcher again. He wants to be a significant contributor. And we're seeing it now this year. The other thing is him staying in New York. A lot of free agents who have spent a lot of time in one place might have trouble going to their new environment. Severino probably stayed in the same house, stayed in the same neighborhood, kids stayed in the same school. I don't imagine he, moved all the way because he's going now from the Bronx to Queens. So I think that was another thing. Being a free agent, still getting your big contract, but you stay in the same place, but go to a different team and get a fresh start. So that's another great thing with him. And also, a lot of players who go to New York don't know how to handle the media. Severino already knows how to handle the media because he dealt with it with the Yankees, and now it's basically the same people with the Mets. So he knows how to deal with that. There's not anything new with the Mets. So a lot of factors went into him becoming a great pitcher again and doing really well with here. Another thing that people saw but didn't take into account, I think, was tipping. Severino talked multiple times about how he thought he was tipping his pitches last year with the Yankees, and that was a reason why he was not doing as well. Now, tipping your pitches itself is not something you want to do. No pitcher wants to tip his pitches, obviously. You don't want to let the teams know what pitch is coming and that they can wait on it, then hit a home run. So that was another thing. But the thing that was interesting the most about this with Severino was that it wasn't even the fact of him tipping the pitches. It was the fact that he was thinking about teams stealing his signs and him tipping pitches. So he would take extra precautions. And so he would not tip his pitches, but then would not focus fully on pitching, which was really, really interesting. So he's basically saying, yes, I'm tipping pitches. I can fix that. But because I'm doing it now, I'm thinking about it, and I'm not putting my full effort into thinking about my pitch in the pitch next, because I'm thinking too much about that they're going to see what I'm pitching. I'm focusing too much now on the guy in first and second, stealing my signs, and not me focusing on the batter. So that was something else that's interesting. It's all these psychological things that go into an athlete's mind that affect them, that, people like, me and you, who are Joe Schmo, who don't play professional sports, aren't going to know of. So there was a lot of factors going on with Severino, a lot of stuff that was interesting with him. And I think hearing all the ways that he did improve himself, he did take care of his body, he took some new precautions, I think was very, very interesting, and shows, he wants this, and he wants to be a great pitcher again, and he wants to contribute for the Mets. And it's showing now. He's been a great pitcher for them. The Mets, while haven't been great recently, were on to a good start before, and doing really, really solid. So I think seeing this with Severino, you are very excited, and you hope that he can become the Severino of the past with the Mets again, and is doing really well. I mean, he has a 2 ERA with them through 6 starts, took a no-hitter into the 8th inning against a good Cubs offense. So, yeah, a really nice job by him so far with his career, and just great job by the Mets as well to see these things. No Severino was potentially a buy low candidate that could turn into something great, and they got him. I think that's something that David Stearns brings, and that's why the Mets waited years and years for him to become free and get him. Not only do you get the storyline of Stearns being a New York boy coming back home to his hometown team, but he's also great at his job. He knows how to deal with small markets and make those small market savvy moves, like a team maybe with Severino signing this guy who can refix his value, but also break the gap of that and signing people to big contracts. So like he did when he offered Yamamoto that huge contract. Of course, he didn't sign it, but that was still a big offer. So I think it has to do with David Stearns, and it has to do with Severino, and just all these factors that I mentioned, why Severino has been doing so well. And I'm really happy about his resurgence. Has seemed like a great guy throughout his baseball career, and has been doing really, really well. And this also is really a win-win situation for the Mets. If the Mets are good, Severino is a building block for your rotation for this year and maybe even the future, and you can extend him, and you have a great pitcher going into the playoffs. If he's bad, and he continues pitching like this, you got an absolute haul for him at the deadline. So either way, this situation is great for the Mets. It's great for Severino. And just overall, again, I'm really happy that Severino is having a resurgence, is doing really, really well, and he's getting his career back on track. We're seeing a lot of players now who aren't able to do what Severino is doing. One main example that comes to mind is, unfortunately, as a Mets fan, Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard went to LA, was okay there, went to Philly, was okay there, and then was just awful with the Dodgers last year, who he went to because, as he put it, everything they touched turns to gold. He was I'm sure he was expecting to go there and just get fixed and become Syndergaard of old. So I think with a lot of these guys who are in the same boat as Severino, not getting the help they need and not becoming themselves of old, I think it's really encouraging that Severino is, and he put the time and the work in to be able to. So I'm really happy about Severino. Great job for the Mets to determine that he was a buy low candidate, and a really interesting player that you could sign as well. So good job there. Happy for him, and just a great job by the Mets. So that was our third segment here, talking about Luis Severino and his resurgence for the New York Mets. We'll be going into our fourth and final segment, which is talking about some news stories around the league. This is usually what I end the show off with, just some general news stories about transaction stuff, injury stuff that I did want to talk about. Couldn't really be talked about in a full segment, but it was still notable enough. So yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thank you so much, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about some news stories around the league, just some general transaction stuff. So, yeah, we did have some pretty notable news that happened when I went to break, which I just saw literally right now, what I am going to talk about, and that a really, really interesting situation here. The Astros are optioning Jose Abreu to West Palm Beach, which is, wow. So, if you don't know, Jose Abreu is the Astros starting first baseman, was a big-time free agent signing last year for them, came in to be their power-hitting first baseman that they had really not had after Yuli Gurriel had regressed these past few years. And Abreu signed last year, started off absolutely horrible, but did really well to end the year, still didn't have a great season in retrospect because of how bad he started, but had a great end to the year, was doing really solid and positive, and was showing them, okay, you know what, didn't have a great year this year, but I think with the way he is performing at the end, he can do well next year, get off to a great start, and do really well. No, that was not the case. Abreu got off to a horrendous start, and is at a horrendous start right now. I mean, if you look at his stats right now, currently he has negative 1.5 WAR with 71 at-bats. He has 7 hits in the entire year with 71 at-bats, no home runs, 3 RBIs, is not hitting 100. I don't use batting average for anything, but that's bad. His OPS is 269. His OPS plus is negative 20. And his total base is 8. Now, that's really, really bad. That's bad. So my thought was, okay, you know what, maybe they'll put him on the Phantom IL, He'll try to get it right, and I don't really know what's going to happen, though, because he did sign a huge contract for 3 years. But GM Dana Brown said both sides decided that Abreu will be optioned to West Palm Beach effective tomorrow to get some at-bats and get his timing back right. Now, this is something that is extremely rare in baseball. West Palm Beach is, of course, the low A affiliate of the Astros, just kind of where people go for rehab and people go to, if you're a really young prospect. So, we did see something like this last year with Alek Manoah, who was struggling and got optioned at West Palm Beach. But the thing with Manoah was he didn't have a say in it. He just went there because he was being really bad and was, frankly, being horrible at baseball, was not good. The thing about Abreu is once you reach over a certain threshold in your career, you have to give consent to be optioned. So a guy like Abreu, who is a former MVP, was a great player with the White Sox a lot of years, was one of the best first basemen in baseball, signed a huge 3-year contract with the Astros, giving consent to go down to the minor leagues is something that is extremely rare. You never see this because if you're a baseball player, you have a lot of pride. You worked hard to get to the major leagues, whether you're struggling or not. You know you're one of the best baseball players in the world. And going from the lifestyle of being a MLB athlete, a guy in the major leagues, to single A is not something that ever happens. But that's how much Abreu was struggling. That's how much his timing was off, apparently, that he is allowing the Astros to send him down to low A. That is an incredible feat and something that never happens in baseball. I'm glad that Abreu is realizing that he's not been good this year, and I'm glad he is taking the initiative to say, you know what, I need help right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I have not been good. It's a really veteran move and a classy move by him to do that. And wow, that's a really interesting story. I just saw that right as I went on break. Wow, that was very, very interesting. So that was not planned, but it was also very fitting for this segment, so I did want to touch upon it. So yeah, that's a really interesting scenario. It looks like John Singleton will be the first baseman for a little while now for the Astros, as the Astros lineup card just came out, and he is their starting first baseman. So, yeah, this is a really, really interesting situation and something I'll be following up on. So, yeah. Going to what I planned now, we have 4 little things that I just want to touch upon for just my news around the league segment. The first one is the Brewers. They are promoting Tyler Black to the major leagues. Black is one of the Brewers' top prospects, a guy who has been one of the top prospects for a little while now. A lot of people were saying is part of the Brewers' young hitting core once he does come up. So that's really nice. You look at Black, according to MLB Pipeline, he is their 4th-rated prospect. His stats this year in AAA are great: a 918 OPS, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs, 13 walks as well. Only 3 less walks than strikeouts, which is really nice. So really good job by the Brewers to recognize that he is ready, call him up to the major leagues, and make him a big part of this team. So happy for Tyler Black. I think he's going to make a big impact on this Brewers team and this Brewers roster. So yeah, overall, I think this is a good move by the Brewers to call him up. Good job there, and just interested to see where he does fit into these Brewers, to the plans for this Brewers team. I think that he is going to start in the infield, can play second or third, could potentially also play some outfield, I believe. So we'll have to see where he does play. But I think bringing him up is a really good decision by the Brewers, and he is going to help a lot with this offense. The White Sox signed Jared Walsh to a minor league contract, which is something I found really, really interesting. Walsh was, of course, released by the Angels this offseason after having some pretty bad seasons with them. Signed with the Rangers to be their first baseman for a month, as their starting first baseman, Nathaniel Lowe, was out for a little bit with an injury. So the Rangers signed Walsh and basically said, hey, look, if you're good, look, you get a chance to start for a month while our regular first baseman's out. You get a chance to get regular at-bats, maybe get your career back on track. If you're good, we'll keep you on the roster, and you'll get to play some DH, some first base, bench bat as well, or you can get traded somewhere else to get more playing time. And if you're bad, you still, that's not our fault. You got playing time. He was bad. So he got DFA'd by them, but the White Sox are signing him now, and I think it's a good signing again. I've loved what the White Sox have done with these kind of moves, signing veterans who have been really good in the past. And I think Walsh adds to that. Walsh was a former All-Star with the Angels, looked like the Angels' franchise first baseman at one point. Did have some bad season, but still could potentially have some left in the tank. And when you're a team like the White Sox, who, not to be rude, is fighting for nothing, is one of the worst teams in baseball, I think signing Walsh is a great idea. And signing people like Walsh is a really good idea. So, a great job there for the White Sox. I love the signing. Yes, it's very minuscule. It doesn't mean much, but I just like the process of doing these things. I like when the White Sox do these. I think it's, again, really good process. I think it makes a lot of sense for where the team is, and I'm just a big fan of it. So kudos to the White Sox general manager, Chris Getz. I love what he's done there so far, and I like the signing as well. The Padres are activating Yu Darvish off of the injured list. He went there for 15 days with neck tightness. Didn't seem to be a big deal, and he is back right around the minimum of time he had to stay on there. So, big boost to the Padres pitching here. Of course, your pitching has not been performing well. You've had guys like Matt Waldron, Michael King, some younger guys you were expecting to be big parts of your rotation that have simply just not performed, not been doing very well. So, I think getting Darvish back is a really great thing, a really positive sign for your pitching rotation. I think him making consistent starts again for you is going to be something that is a great boost to you guys. I don't think the neck tightness should affect him a lot. He is older, so maybe it could, but I'm watching him, and I'm watching to see what he does, how he does perform with the Padres, and how much he can help this rotation that really, really needs it right now. So, great job for the Padres getting Darvish back pretty soon. Positive sign there for him, and we have an update on Jesus Luzardo, who has a mid-left flexor muscle strain. So that is a positive, I guess. It's not something like in the elbow or something like that where, you would be worrying about a major injury like Tommy John or something like that. But it's still an arm injury, still not something you want. So overall, I think it's good and bad news for the Marlins. It's good news because it could have been worse, but it's bad news because he is hurt. So I don't think you should stay on the injured list much longer than the 15 days. So, as Luzardo said himself, he thinks that it is mainly a precautionary thing. So, we sing about that. But the Marlins have been hit big by injuries. Yuri Perez, Sandy Alcantara, mainly they're the two big starters for them, and now Luzardo. So, just been unfortunate for them and just kind of been unlucky. So, hopefully Luzardo can get better, pitch better as well. I think he's going to be a big piece of the deadline if he starts pitching really well, which I expect him to. Was rumored a lot in the offseason to be traded from the Marlins. I think with the Marlins being this bad, they're going to look to trade. Luzardo could even potentially trade other guys like Jake Berger, Luis Ariz. So it's going to be interesting to see, but good for Luzardo that he's not seriously hurt, but we're watching that injury and hoping that doesn't turn into anything more serious. I don't think it will, but always got to be precautionary with these things, especially for pitchers nowadays. So. All right, so that is the end of our fourth and final segment, guys, and that is the end of our show. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to get uploaded not only when I upload, but when all the other great content creators on this channel upload as well. Remember, we invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see what baseball throws at us tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn.